Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know if you hear me well or okay. Well, let me get this straightened out here. So, who do we have here? We have Michael. Michael, first I need to know how old you are, what your gender is, and where you're tuning in from, which country. Like Prithu has done right below. He says 32 India. He knows that I know he's a male, but included M32 India. Haley is here, and Haley, don't forget the protocol. Thank you for that. So you hear me okay? Good. Hmm. Pritu wants some light on what Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz have referred to his book and studies. Michelle is female 25. Michelle, where from? Which country? Come on, guys, give me the info. Throw me the bone. Don't give it scattered. A little bit here, a little bit there. What do you think the odds are I burn myself with this tea? Just poured it, no? Yeah, best to wait. Patience. Michelle, Britain. Oh, right. I remember the days we used to travel to England almost, every summer we used to go somewhere. Italy, England, I don't know, wherever, Germany. When I was a kid with my mom and my brother. And I remember we went to Bournemouth one summer at a um, Mrs. Parker's Inn. It was somewhere in Bournemouth, and we used to go to the ocean. And on the way from the Mrs. Parker's place and the ocean, lots of ice cream places. So we always guided our mom toward the ice cream place. It was a good time. And a Libra named, okay, Val. I guess I'll call you Val. Says, hi, Meran, female, 35, Texas. Howdy, Texas, warm girls. Love the woman. So warm, so wholesome in Texas. And she says, my username used to be I love singing. Oh, I see. Okay, so what happened? This is more difficult. A underscore Libra named underscore Val. By the time I say that, the whole program is finished. And thank you for being here. And Haley says, just wanted to pop on here to say to everyone who's struggling with HOCD or whatever, stop asking for answers with your questions because it will make it worse because you're believing the thoughts. Good for you, Haley. Obviously, you've been doing good in doing what I've been asking you to do. You drove me crazy, but finally you're there. You're there. Uh, And Diraj Kumar says, hello, Mehran. Love from India. Hello there. Thank you for that. Love from Canada. Emily says, Emily, before you ask a question, I need to know age, gender, where you're tuning in from. If you guys are under age of 18, I want you guys to have permission from your parents to be here, because this program is for not under 18 people. So at least if they're watching with you or you have permission, then by all means. Emily, 19, United States. Thank you very much for that, Emily. Yeah, your question is, can OCD thoughts come and go throughout the day? Do you breathe, uh, during the day, or is it once you breathe and that's that's all for the day? Thoughts are involuntarily, they're not your thoughts. You use the apparatus of the brain when you have an intention for certain calculation, figuring out something, learning something, designing something, producing something, accomplishing something. This is when you use the apparatus of the brain to create some thoughts and for a certain purpose. But brain itself uses its apparatus and creates thoughts all day long. 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. That is involuntarily. It's got nothing to do with you. You are the judge to see if anything that shows up, and if you have time to notice it, is of any use to you or not. And if not, you let it die by the wayside and you don't even focus on it or pay attention to it. You ignore it and keep on doing what it is that you're busy with. If something pops up and comes to your attention and you're not busy and you actually did notice it, then you'll decide, you judge it, not to accept it. Just go, oh, thought came in, so I must now go. Boss has said to do this. Oh, yes, okay. No, you're the boss. These apparatuses are all working for you. So if the thought shows up, you judge it, not to accept it. You just judge it. So, oh, okay, I don't have a need for it. You can be there, do whatever you want to do. Just hang in there or hang it out or suggest whatever. I'm not paying attention because that's not my preference. That's not my choice. You see, brain makes thoughts all day long. So thoughts come and go. It's natural, normal for every human being on earth. You don't live by the suggestions and ideas of the brain. You live by your vetoes and choices. The eyes have the ability to see, but not anything that you see has anything to do with you, or you're supposed to continue looking at it or following it or taking its cues. You have the ability to see. That's what the eyes do. So anywhere you look, you see something. But when you see something that is not, in line with your values or interesting to you, or to you is obnoxious, you don't look. You just move more further the other way or the other way, and you focus on something else. Just because there's an ability of sight doesn't mean anything that comes to your field of vision is your responsibility. Or you created it, or you have to follow it, or you agree with it. No, we see lots of things. Then we judge what we see, if it's useful or not. If I'm looking at a book and learning something, so I keep looking at it and reading it. If I see something I'm not interested, I just put it up, go next page or somewhere else. Same thing with movies. You see something, you don't like the movie, you get out of there, you turn off the CD or whatever it is, and the DVD. And same thing with life. You walk around, you see something, you're not happy with it, you don't like the atmosphere or the people hanging out there. The crowd is not of your, preference. You move somewhere else, you look somewhere else. Everything is same. Thoughts the same. Brain brings about all these thoughts, You don't notice them. You focus on what it is that you're doing. And if you did notice them, you see if it's useful or not. If it's not, ignore and go about it. It's involuntarily. It's got nothing to do with you. It's separate systems. All right. And it's not just you. Every human being on earth has intrusive thoughts. The only difference is that when you have OCD, it has a little glitch in a lever called caudate nucleus in the striatum in midbrain that it's supposed to shut down intrusive thoughts automatically. That's why you didn't have problem with it before. Sometimes it has a glitch, it doesn't shut down, it doesn't do its job right. So when something that is not in line with your values shows up, that it knows about your value with caudate nucleus, your whole system, it goes and shuts it down. When it's malfunctioning, it doesn't shut it down. So it hangs around there. The thought stays in there. And so there's no response going back to prefrontal cortex that, hey, we're not interested in this. Stop making these thoughts. So it's hanging around because it's got no communication going back. Nothing has shut it down. So in that glitch, you're supposed to manually, by your behavior, which is ignoring the thought, send that message that usually caudate nucleus sends it automatically by shutting down the process. You send it by you ignoring that thought to where it's supposed to go. And the signal eventually through your behavior towards the suggestion or the thought or the image or idea, by ignoring it, it rewires your brain and gives it the signal that this is not the way we want you to behave. And you retrain the brain through neuroplasticity because of this behavior and reaction of yours toward these thoughts. And it learns, and eventually the glitches back. And even if it doesn't, and whenever intrusive thoughts show up again, you know exactly what they are. So you're not frightened by it, don't react to it. Just, well, yeah, that's like my intestine. Sometimes it gets diarrhea. So, I let it do its thing, but I don't care about it. And I just do what I need to do to fix it. So ignoring it is fixing the diarrhea that your intestine has. So ignoring the thoughts is like fixing the diarrhea. And eventually it comes back to its how it used to be. Anyhow, watch the links of the psychologists and psychotherapists that I put in the playlist of the two playlists on OCD and HOC that I have. So you can see what the experts and scientists and doctors have talked about it. And you educate yourself, learn more about it. So when these things show up, you won't panic. You won't get frightened. Oh, I'm changing. No, you're not changing. As I said, you're not cow's milk. One day milk, a few days left outside comes sour milk, then it becomes yogurt, and then eventually becomes cheese. No, we don't change. We may have glitches, but we educate ourselves, learn how the psyche works, and we don't panic. We just understand this is the malfunction of the brain. Why? Because brain is very new to us. We lived for millions of years without such a brain. We had stem brain and reptilian brain. And then 40,000 years ago, our brain was developed into this sophisticated one and became more and more sophisticated. But we survived and we lived way before the brain was added to us. So what the brain suggests is not us. I am the judge of what the brain suggests, not that the brain is me. You're not the brain and brain is not you. You're not thoughts and thoughts are not you. You're the judge and the boss of the brain and thoughts and all the other stuff. All right, let's move on to, let's go back to, Emily says, thank you so much for answering. I appreciate it. My thoughts make me so upset and drive me insane. No, we all have a little crazy in us. And you should understand that this is a malfunction. This got nothing to do with your identity. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's an apparatus that is doing its thing, and often what it does, because brain doesn't know what it's doing, it just guesses things. It has certain amount of information that seep through its consciousness, the consciousness, through becoming aware of what is happening in the world, what exists in the world. Different lifestyles, different products, different technologies, all these information through mediums of different kind, internet, publications, TV, discussions, images, all have seeped through, found their way into the consciousness. And the job of the brain is to pick up things from the consciousness with all these information, relevant or irrelevant to you. They're there, so your brain has become aware of it, and then it picks it up and makes into thoughts. That means nothing. It just means that it's a manufacturing plant for making thoughts. That's what it is. But whenever a thought shows up, you think it has any meaning to you, and it's pertaining you, and it must have a message, because you think your brain is your leader, your teacher, your secret, knowledgeable wizard. No, it's a bloody apparatus that has malfunctions like any other part of you, any other animal or any other mammal. Their mistakes, malfunctions, any other machine. It's an electrical system. And all electrical systems at one point or another, the ones we make usually don't sometimes make any malfunctions, but the brain does malfunction. It's all signals and neurons, and there's so many things that happen in there that very easily they glitch. That's why we become crazy sometimes. We do stupid things, you know, hallucinations and all that. It's kind of a simple way of saying it is like SSS. What is it? Sound stuck sound syndrome. You know, sometimes you have a song looping in your head constantly. You can't get rid of it. You're aware that this is a malfunction. But when a thought you can't get rid of it, you say, oh, it must mean something. No, it's also same as that. This malfunction is looping. It has lost its way of automatic adjustment to shut down and go on. In people who don't have OCD or this glitch, when an intrusive thought shows up, they say, oh, that's nasty. And then boom, shuts down, and they go on, focus on what they're doing. In people with OCD, and I had lots of kind of them, all kind of OCDs I've had. People like with OCD, when the intrusive thought shows up, the caudate nucleus doesn't shut it down automatically. So it lingers. And then because you're a perfectionist and you're of very high intelligence, most people with OCD have higher than average intelligence. They data hunt it. They go into finding more. They go into the rabbit hole. They're very brave. They want to go and defeat it and destroy it, and find out what it is. And all that perfectionism brings too much attention to this non-issue. You know, it's like you passing by somebody, spits out some profanity about you or about your mother. And some people say, oh, idiot, pass by. Some people say, oh, what did you say? They go into, like, this is how we are in the thought process. We overreact to thought as if it means something, as if it has a power to overpower us. Or we got to deal with it. We got to show it who the boss is. We got to fight with it. We're a little bit overly geared. And usually our fight and flight, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system is overactive. So we overreact to almost everything. So OCD is part of that. So you got to learn all these things and then be at peace with it. So, okay, shit comes to my head. Okay, I don't pay attention to it. It'll have no attention. And when anything has no attention, doesn't get attention from you, it usually goes about, it dissipates, disappears, it goes about its own business. That's how you deal with it. Don't be sensitive about it. It's a thought. It's in virtual world. Has no power, has no actuality. Because the real power is with you. And that is your power, your ability to live your life by your vetoes and choices. I don't care how many people say whatever they want to say. I ultimately have the power to not listen, veto what they say, or to choose something. I veto things that are not in line with my lifestyle. I veto things that are not in line with my values. I don't have to accept anything. It's a thought, it's a suggestion. I don't give a shit. People can say what they want to say, and the brain can say what it wants to say. I am the master. I choose, and I go. And that's what you should do. Oh, okay. That's better. All right. Let's see what we have here. There's so many things here. I don't know which is which now. Um, Prithu, I indirectly I answered your question. Actually, this is what Dr. Schwartz has mentioned as well. In ignoring thoughts, you relabel it and recognize it for what it is, call it for what it is, relabel it, and then move on. Um, Prithu, I'm going to put this link for you in regards to the 4R steps that Dr. Schwartz have taught in his book. And you know that the 4Rs are simply relabel, reattribute, refocus, and revalue. I'm going to put the link for you there so you can study that in detail, and it's better than me just skimming over it. There it is for you. All right. All right, we have 13 people here, and I'm lost in which I answered, which I didn't. Ross is here. Says, hi, Meran, 32, male, 32, UK. Thank you for that. Says, been speaking to a woman from another country in Europe, but think I might be more invested in her than she is in me, even though I think, even though I think she likes me. How do I stop obsessing over a woman I barely know? Well, the fact is that she's not in close proximity, that disqualifies her. Don't go establishing a relationship, so to speak, because your brain doesn't understand any difference between virtuality and actuality. So when you get engaged with a woman over the internet, you may fall in love with her because you only see the good things about her and meets your standards, because you don't have a chance, you guys, to interact physically, go out somewhere, see how you negotiate life and interact to matters that they come up. So you only see your good points and agreements, and of course, naturally sexually attracted to, because you can't reach, so it's even more palatable in some ways. But the brain doesn't know that this is just a Skype or whatever connection. To the brain, virtuality is actuality. So it reacts the same way, and your body starts missing her and all that. even though you haven't even been intimate yet or in each other's close proximity. So don't start that. Don't turn it into anything more unless you have a plan like next week go see each other. And these days, who can travel so easily? All the bullshit that is going on, all the pressures that you're supposed to do this, do that before we allow you to fly. Forget that. So there's an agenda, obviously, and it's up to you to want to comply to that or not. So because that opportunity doesn't exist right now, it's best not to create a long distance relationship, because what is it for? What are you gaining? And in the meantime, she could be meeting someone close by, which would satisfy her emotional and physical needs. And you could be meeting someone close by, satisfy your emotional and physical needs. And so, what has this been just other than a tease, pretty much? Or maybe if you can understand that's just a pleasurable discussion and pleasurable moment with a woman, and she understands the same, then you guys are fine. But if you expect something to come out of it and have loyalty of each other, no, there is no relationship here. It's all virtual. Don't treat virtual like actuality. Brain does, and that's what we have so much problems. You got to be able to separate yourself from the brain to understand there is a separation between brain, you, and thoughts. That you're the boss of it all, and brain is not your teacher, is not your boss, is not your leader, is just another apparatus. But because it cannot understand the difference between virtuality and actuality, you decide what should be looked into as or considered as a possible relationship, or what should be looked at possible a great experience with another human being and exchange conversation and enjoy. Because anything more than that, it just brings emotional hardship, because you guys are not going to see each other. It's very unrealistic. What are you going to do? Every time you want to go on a date, let's say the world was normal, you could travel anytime you want. Every time you're going to meet her, you got to put it 2 or 3 days in advance, take a train or a flight, go there for a few hours or a day, come back. It's nonsense. So how you stop obsessing over a woman? Uh, you barely know. Well, how we are. That's the trigger. That's how we are. That's why we pursue women, because you barely know her, but you already are encouraged. That's how your makeup is. You're a heterosexual male. You love women, and that's what you do. But you got to logically understand that this is not a good investment as far as time and energy is concerned. Neither for you nor for her. All right. What else is there? Michelle says, "Can you answer my question?" They are at the top. Oh, okay. Let me go find it. Michelle, 25 from Britain says, "Oh, there it is." Ooh, it's a big question, isn't it? Michelle says, "So you say it out loud. So you say it out loud, even though you don't want to Is that part of HOCD? Well, who cares? You say it out loud, you don't say it out loud. Makes no difference. It's part of OCD before the HOCD. The fact that you know something in your head, or you see something in your head, and then you have this uh, compulsion to say it out loud. Well, it's more OCD than anything else. Before you have the HOCD, you have an OCD as well. And she says, and what if you find girls more eye catching, more easy to look at, and men are more bold and harder to look at? Well, because girls are more beautiful, no matter if you're a man or woman. Girls are beautiful and refined in every way, always lovely to look at. That means nothing. That means it's like saying why looking at trees and ocean and mountain is better than looking at the concrete buildings in town. Well, naturally, it's it's got a softer energy. So, well, that's the question. Why do you have to question everything? The problem is not that why you find this softer look at, or that not, or whatever. First of all, women are beautiful. All women are beautiful. They're perfectly put together, aesthetically, artistically, the way they wear their clothes, the color combinations, they're more careful about it. Everything looks beautiful. If a woman really takes good care of herself, the way she dresses out, and it's like a masterpiece. Of course, you would prefer to look at that. If it wasn't a woman, if it was a tree, but it was a, a natural looking, beautiful, well designed, well pruned tree, you would look at that tree than the other tree that is just all out in different ways, and not really good leaves and green leaves, and it's not really healthy looking or whatever. So naturally, and they're both trees. So this happens to be a woman and a man, no comparison. Naturally, that's what you would think. But because you have this question of HOCD in your mind, you constantly are questioning anything that is actually normal and natural. It's perfectly normal to notice a good look of someone. Whether you're a man and you notice a good look of another man, or whether you're a woman, you notice a good look of another woman. Perfectly normal. What's wrong with it? We all like to be good looking. So naturally, we take care of, we make sure that we, I don't know, do this or do that, take care of ourselves and be fit, or wear this clothes or that to look good, you know, shave properly, depending on your gender, and you want to look good. So this looking good is something you identify with. So naturally, you will recognize in everybody else, and you see if they look good. Is this look good? Because I care about if I look good, if I'm well dressed. So naturally, I would notice everybody else who's good looking or well dressed. But you turn that into something, wow, I shouldn't be noticing that, because if I notice another girl's, in your case, good looks, that means I'm interested in her and sexually. No, it just means you like good look, you're good looking, and you want to be good looking, and you do whatever you can to be better looking, and you always naturally pay attention to who looks good, who doesn't. Every one of us do that. But when the HOCD, OCD comes into the picture, you think, oh, that is means that I am interested in that same gender. No, you also are interested to look at a horse that is better looking than the other horse. You also look interested in looking at a handbag that is better designed, well designed than the other handbag. We like good looking things in everything, but you don't question anything else. You only question, oh, why do I think this same gender is good looking? Because we look at good looking, we judge everything by their look. That's very normal, very natural. So I don't have a problem with that. And Michelle says, but then again, I think if I was gay or bisexual, I would question it constantly. But some of the thoughts I get, I like them. But because you think you're brave if you admit that you like him, that being honest. But liking a tree because it's good looking, it doesn't mean you like to have sex with the tree. Liking the same gender, that she's beautiful and top notch way of dressed up and carry herself, makes you proud. But that doesn't mean you want to have sex with her. So you're interpreting every emotion that is natural, and you give it a perception and you give it interpretation. And then you're reacting to your interpretation of what was perfectly normal. You shouldn't do that. Hmm? You should observe life rather than perceiving life. You see, we human beings have been brainwashed and accustomed through our childhood to deal with conclusions. Hmm? Everything you see, you want a conclusion. That's how you've been trained. But the real way of life is to observe. Hmm? I see an orange, I see it good looking. Now I want a conclusion. Does that mean I love orange? I must have orange every day. This must mean something. No, you just like that color yellow. You like that fruit. You saw it and it was nicely designed. That's it. Observe. That's all it was. But you come up with meanings to it. Oh, I saw this guy is good looking. Okay. Now, what does that mean? It must have a conclusion. It must be connected to certain kind of a sexual interest in the same gender. I have to now go find out what it means, me noticing the good look of this other man. Nothing. You're a human being capable of observing and noticing what looks good, what's symmetric, what doesn't, and how girls would react to this good look. That's what comes to your mind. And that brings the connotation of sex. And you say, oh, that meant I have sexual interest in that. No, these are all connected. When you see someone good look, whatever your gender you are, and you see same gender's good look, that good look puts you in touch with the concept of sex, of somebody. For example, you see you're a man, you see a good looking man, you like your look, and you have your looks and whatever you do to yourself, and that is connected to sex that you understand with women. When you see another guy who's good looking, you associate that with another woman being interested in him, so sex with another woman, with that person, which brings the connotation and the association to sex, because that's how you look at person. You say good looking. Good looking means sex with a woman. How a woman will interact or react to this guy, and that brings the concept of sex into your thoughts. And because of that, you think the sex came to your thought because of the guy. No, sex came to your thought because of the reaction of the girls to this good looking guy, which brings the concept of sex. And then you interpret it. All you have to do is just say, okay, yeah, good looking, perfect. Why not? I'm good looking. I like good looking things, so you notice good looking things. But then that good looking things moves on to the concept of sex with women and how women reacts to that good looking man. And then whole concept makes you think, oh, then I'm thinking about sex with that guy. No, you're thinking about the concept of sex and the sex between that guy and women, which is what you identify sex with. And then the whole thing loses its connotation, and you focus on something because you have OCD, on something that I got to make sure that I am not really that. You create all these questions and you want to answer them because you're always looking for a conclusion rather than just observing life. Good looking, that's it. Now I got to conclude. What does that mean that I noticed that good look of that person? Nothing. There is no conclusion necessary. But we are all accustomed to find conclusion for everything that we experience or see or notice. No conclusion necessary. It's a good looking man. Fine. When I was a kid, Sean Connery was good looking in James Bond, and how girls would gather around him and interact with him, and we learned from how he would, interact with girls, and so naturally we wanted to look like him. Roger Moore was good looking James Bond after Sean Connery, and girls would pay attention to him, and we would want to comb our hair like that, or because that was the role model. But nowadays, because of so much information, unnecessary information for you, necessary for somebody else, but unnecessary for you, but all that information is available out there. So when you actually notice somebody's good look, like we did Sean Connery or Roger Moore, and that was the observation, that was the end of it. But now, when you notice it, because of all these other conversations and sharing of different lifestyles, all of that information is trying to bring a conclusion, interpretation for that which is all it is, an observation of someone's good look. So much unnecessary information that is floating around about people's lifestyles, personal people's lifestyles, has now created different connotations and different interpretations of what is perfectly normal for you to see and observe and go. But no longer you can go because there's so many conclusions. I have to figure out which conclusions mean. None. No conclusion. Observe. You just saw something good looking. That's it. Before we used to see Sean Connery, no conclusion. You guys a man, girls like him, so let's find out, how we learn from him. Now you go into different tangents. What does that mean? Conclusions is a wrong way of living. Observe. Observe and go. No meaning, no conclusion. Whatever comes to your head, does it. It's got nothing to do with you. It's the brain. It's trained to make these thoughts, and whatever it finds, it finds. Look, there's only one thought. There's only one thought. All thoughts are one. You go in, one thought comes in based on some kind of a association of some word or some scene or some image to something else. All other kind of possible thoughts that are in there in the consciousness, they're all connected. They all come out. And among them, there's so many that's irrelevant to you, but you choose them because they're there. And then you say, oh, it came up with that. No, it didn't come up because you thought it this way or that way. It comes up because there's only one thought. All thoughts are connected. In other words, you go into consciousness to pick up one thought. There's so many thousands of other thoughts attached to it that comes out. The association goes so fast that it's like you saw all these thoughts. But you're not supposed to interpret them. You say, okay, my ability to see all these thoughts so I can pick what is relevant. But because you have OCD, you can't pick what is relevant. You see all of them and you want to interpret and conclude what they each mean to you. And then you go nuts with all data hunting and so on. You shouldn't do that. You should just observe, no conclusion necessary about anything. Thought comes, what? You through the day, you fart a lot. You're gonna make a conclusion. Oh, I farted this. That means, let me see the smell. Oh, okay. That probably means I had this last night. I shouldn't have that. Oh, it means something. What does it mean? What does it mean? It's just a bodily function, and that's a mental function. You're not supposed to interpret everything that it does, like your body does. If you want to interpret everything that your body, your cells do, and on every nanosecond, you won't be living. You will be analyzing everything. You should not interfere with what is not your business. And what your body is going through its, its functions, none of your business. It's automatic. The brain going through its functions, it's none of your business. It's automatic. You're the one who chooses. You're the judge. You just say, okay, I'm in a bazaar. There's so many things available. I like to have one of those, so I choose this. I ignore the rest of the stores. Same thing. Brain throws out all kind of thoughts. You're not supposed to take every one suggestion that it throws. You say, okay, all these thoughts available and none of them are interesting to me. I just do my own thing, what I'm doing, what thoughts or what activities I'm involved in. And if some of them are useful to you, pick that, but leave the rest alone. Just like you're in a bazaar, you're in a mall. You don't go to every store and buy something. You pass by many of them, go to the one you want or what interests you. Or none of them interest you. Just walk, stroll, ignore everything. Observe. No conclusions. That's how you live. Now, I can answer as much as I could, guys, but because of course the questions could be a lot. You guys have a choice, though. Have a couple of questions answered here as much as I can possibly do to be fair to everybody else. And more than that, you can just go on my site, mind.seekstruth.com, mind.seekstruth.com, and make an appointment on for a Skype consultation, and then we will discuss what's concerning you one on one on Skype. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, is everything working? Okay, just give me sure. Sometimes this mic somehow uh, malfunctions, and then I don't know, and I keep talking. Oh, okay, good. All right, just let me know if you didn't. All right, let's see what we have here. Male 30 London Astley says, I was talking to a beautiful woman on Facebook. I told her I find her beautiful, but because she is living in USA, I couldn't pursue a relationship with her due to distance. She was always responding to me. Why has her attitude different towards me changed that she's no longer responds to me in a friendly manner? Who cares? Why should you care? You were cordial, you were a gentleman, you said what you felt. Naturally, you're a man and you are talking to a woman and you are friends and you told her she's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. And perhaps she has noticed that, the distance is so far off that you guys cannot really even meet. So what's the use? Women are more logical in these things. They're looking for more logical relationships. We men are programmed for procreation, and we don't think well. We just see something from 5 million miles away, and she's good looking. Oh, okay, that's the one I want. But it's 5 million. You can't get to her. Well, that's the one I want because that's how you're programmed. You only you go after what you see. We're hunters. We are programmed to pursue women, and we don't think about proximity, feasibility, nothing. Okay, that's why you fall in love with the poster, your picture. Oh, I wish she was my wife. All you see is just how she looks. That's all. So get a hold of that and understand that. So don't get fooled by your own, desires. Don't follow desires. Follow characteristics of that woman, and for that you need to have interaction with her, close proximity interactions. See how you guys behave in the, a regular day, a normal day, negotiate life and how things happens. Then you can, based on compatibility and qualifications that each have, then you can qualify or disqualify each other. But by just looks physically, heterosexual male looks at a beautiful, what's beautiful to him, picture of a woman. That's the end of it. It doesn't need to know anything more. We are rather stupid. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to look at the 5-part videos that I've released during the past 4 or 5 days. And today I put all 5 together as well and released it so you can watch the whole 31 minutes all at once or piece by piece in different videos. And that is when I'm getting on the case of women and trying to, not all women, just a portion of women, majority of the women. And so having a little bit of a heart-to-heart talk with women and their role and the fact that they've relinquished their responsibility and role. And soon I will make a video getting on the case of men, that why they won't get the woman that they're looking for. And this one is titled Why You'll Never Get the Guy That You're Looking For. And the other one would be Why You'll Never Get the Girl That You're Looking For. So I'm trying to see if we could have some kind of a discussions that you guys could ponder, whether you're a man or woman, and figure out if that is something you would want to consider to maybe upgrade yourself or pay attention to it. or be aware of it. However, it's really useful to you. But none of them means to demean women or demean men. It just means that we're having a talk to bring your attention to something, and you see what your thoughts are on it. Ponder. Um, Let me put that video link for you, the ones who asked for it. I'm going to put the long version so you can choose. There's the video link for that. Oops. All right, there's the video link for that video that I uploaded the past 4 days, and today the full version of it, all five pieces together. Ashley, that's the video. And Pohilota says yes. I don't know to what he says yes. Let me see if I can. Dosti, stop doing that nonsense. Don't keep doing comparison, all that shit, because when you have OCD, naturally your negative side of the brain is very active, and it takes you to all the tangents that you're not about. But if you take it as a suggestion, then you think that's what you are, which it's the OCD talking, not you. It's the HOCD talking, not you. So you only live not by the suggestion of the brain, but by the vetoes and choices of you. Understanding that there's a separation between brain and you, it sets you free. Right now, you think there's no separation. You think what brain says, it's you. You think brain is you. You have to understand that you're not the brain and brain is not you. You are separate. You're above the brain. There's a video I did, which I highly recommend every one of you watch it. In that video, the brilliant Nobel Prize winning studies of Dr. Sperry, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, and Dr. Libet, which is based on the explanation of the Dr. Egnar about all these experiments. I made a video based on his knowledge. And you will see that there are aspects of you, an aspect of the mind, that the brain can never reach, which proves to you beyond the shadow of the doubt, not just the philosophical discussions of the Aristotle about 1,000 years ago about the dualism versus atoms and void. In the old times, they would say just there's only nothing but atoms and void. There's either atom, something, material, or nothing, materialistic. And the Aristotle, 1,000 years ago, they were talking about dualism, that there is something beyond the atom, beyond the existence of material. So in other words, your entity being matter, there is something more to it, which is you, the awareness. That is you. And there's something more. But the materialists were saying, no, that's it. So you're the brain. Hmm? But beyond the shadow of the doubt, not by just the philosophical explanations of the philosophers through 1,000 years ago until now, but even today now, the modern science have proven beyond the shadow of doubt that you're not the brain, brain is not you, and there are aspects of you that brain cannot even reach. You're beyond the brain. And I'm going to put this link in here for you to all watch. It's about 45 minutes, but it's brilliant, helpful explanation about you understanding that you're not the brain, brain is not you. You cannot be fooled by what the brain suggests or thinks. You cannot relinquish who you are to brain. Brain is an apparatus like your intestine. That's all. It has a job to do. But it's not you. It's not your intellect. We've been conditioned to think brain is our smart, is our intellect. It's not. It's an apparatus. It's a machine. And it malfunctions and comes up with all the shit that you guys are going through and every one of us go through in life. That's why there's so many crazy people. We all go crazy at one time or another in our lives. And we think, oh, I'm crazy. Well, if you don't believe your fucking brain, then you'll be saved. You'll be free. But when you think you're the brain and the brain malfunctions and you think you're malfunctioning, you think you got to believe whatever the brain says. It's wrong. You're beyond the brain. You're the teacher. You're the leader of the brain. You got to help the brain to bring about and get its health back by how you treat it, by talking to psychologists, psychotherapists, and learn and rewire the brain and teach it to help it to come to health again. It goes wacko. And for understanding this, that you're beyond the brain and there are aspects of you and the mind that the brain cannot even reach. Watch this video. I'm going to put it up here for you. I've done most of the work, guys. God damn it, just educate yourself. Otherwise, you go nuts in this life. You go crazy. Since childhood, we've been brainwashed to think that, oh, brain, everything brain says. What is brain? There's a bunch of neurons and hanging around each other and creating shit. Got it? That's a very scientific way of putting it. Yeah? There you are. This is what I want you all to watch. If you don't watch that, then it's on you. You got it? The ones who are going to watch it, put 1. Commit yourself right now. Put 1. If you're going to watch that video that I just sent, put 1. 1. The ones who are not going to watch it, put 2. Then I'll write your name on the ugly stick. And make sure when the traveling is free, then I'll come knocking on your door. Cute. I will get to your question. I just saw what you said here. I will read it. Yeah, cute, because I'm not going on rhythm. I'll just pick up one, because if I want to go rhythm, it doesn't work. I've tried it. I'll just pick up one and whatever I see. Aha. So let's see the ones. Luis Gonzalez says 1. Thank you. Dosti says 1. Thank you. And the long version of I Love Singing says 1. Thank you for that. And Disco says 1. Thank you. Ashley says 1. Thank you. Good. I'm delighted that you guys will do that. Just pour a cup of tea for yourself or whatever beverage you like, and then relax with it. It's 45 minutes, but you get so much information in there. It will be very helpful. Very helpful. All right, let's go to Dusty because he or she, let me see, kills me here. Ah, there it is. Female, 23, London. Cute. Says, last time you promised you'd answer my question. Yes, I did, but you know why? I didn't have that live stream that night. because I'd forgotten that I had a Skype appointment at the same time with Australia, which the timing is different. 9 p.m. For me is 2 o'clock in the afternoon theirs. And so I didn't even have that um, live stream to answer your question. So I'm off the hook. Now let's see what you got here. And female 23 London, cute, says, last time you promised you'd answer my question because you missed it last time, sir. My question was, I often have prophetic dreams. Sorry, where was I? I often have prophetic dreams that come true. And I recently saw my ex in my dream laying on the floor, crying, begging me to not leave. Does this mean he is suffering in real life too? Did you leave him? Is it actually happened that way that you left? Or I don't know if you already broke up with him or not. Are you about to break up or have you broken up? You give me a little bit of a background. To illustrate the extent of my prophetic dreams, for example, last night I saw an acquaintance getting married, and today she got a proposal. Also, I saw the Notre Dame fire before it happened. Confirm whether or not it's true. I confirm whether or not it's true if someone constantly thinks of you. What? Oh, confirm? They might pop in your dream. I actually did an experiment with my grandma. I had seen her in my dream crying, asking me for help. Then I said I was going to help her, and in my dreams, I drove her to the hospital. Next day, I called her and she said she'd wanted to call me all day yesterday because she was so anxious. My grandmother never gets anxious. I asked her why, and she said because she had to take a loved one to the hospital. Sir, I copied all the parts of my question. Okay, so I read all you said, but what is the question, dear? I understand that you have these premonitions and the things that you dream, or some of them come true. But what is the question? Yes, yes, I saw it. Yeah, I did. I read it all. Where were you? I was reading it all. Cute. I just finished reading all your questions, explanations about, but I don't see a question. What is the question? You said you did this and you have that, but like you start with, I often have prophetic dreams that come true. And I recently saw my ex, da da da, da, and then your grandmother. But what is the question? What are you asking me? I see all these things that you said. That do you think your ex is suffering in real life too? But I ask you, did you break up with him? Are you going to break up with him? Give me some background info. But is that the question of all these things? That your question is because you dreamt your boyfriend is on the floor begging you to come back. That are you asking? Does that mean that he's actually suffering in real life? Is that your question, or is there other? Because you had so many examples. You're saying because you have this ability, therefore you think because you dreamt your ex is on the floor begging you, you want to see if it's true or not in real life. Is that the question? Is that the only question? I'm not sure if he's actually suffering in life, but I think that might be your wish for him to suffer. And so, therefore, it manifests that train of thoughts in your dream in a certain way that he's on the floor begging you because that's what you want to see. But other than that, I don't have a way to know for you that if he's really suffering or not because I have no information about you telling me that if you broke up with him or he broke up or you're still together, you want to break up. I have no idea. But the fact that you can feel some people and your energy can communicate with them or feel them or affect them, that is a very possibility because I had that in a different way example um, done when I was in college and I was heavily involved in meditation and martial arts and I had a beautiful Japanese girlfriend and we loved each other and she finished and left the school earlier than I did back to Japan. And at the time, she was writing me every day. So I had a letter from her every day, every single day for 2 years, I think. And so we were in love. So at one time, I wrote her that on a certain day, certain time, where I was in Portland, still in college, and where she was in Japan, we calculated the time to be an exact moment, exact time and space. And I said to her that I would be sitting and focusing energy on her. And I want her to tell me if she would feel anything, knowing that she's sitting there at the same time and I'm sitting there at the same time, different places. And I would unleash my energy and I wanted to test this, yeah? Because there were so many things we were doing in the classroom as far as this energy and exercises and so on. Now I wanted to see how far it goes. And sure enough, she said, yes, I was feeling it very strongly. So definitely, because we are all made out of the same energy that flows in the universe, everything that has been created, trees, oceans, rocks, atmosphere, everything is made out of energy. And the same energy has made us. And the same energy is flowing from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe in all directions, up and down, and all in between. So, this energy key, life energy, life force, as Star Wars words would be the force, is flowing from all ends of the universe to the other ends of the universe all the time, constantly, replenishing the energy that we need. So, this is the same energy, we're all swimming in it in the same way. Therefore, it's all connected. So when you send an energy through the atmosphere, through the trees, through everything that exists, it carries it to where it wants to go, where you direct it to. So yes, It can travel. The energy can be felt somewhere else. But as far as if he's actually suffering or not, I don't know the background again. If you are the one who have left him, or maybe he's the one who left you, and you kind of suffer or you don't like it, somehow you might have had this wish that he would be suffering. And that could manifest itself into your sleep. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's suffering. It just means that is perhaps something that maybe you were thinking about. And if you think about something all day long, you end up possibly dreaming about it. Because when you sleep, all the ripples of the brain quiets down, and the most recent one that you've been thinking all day long kind of pops up. And then when you're close to waking up, that's the one that you will remember. There are many other dreams that you had, you don't remember them all. When you have deep sleep, you don't remember your dreams. When you haven't had really deep sleep, you remember things. But usually you dream anyhow. Only when it's very deep sleep, you don't remember it. Not that you didn't dream anything, because the floating of all those things are there. But if you're really deep sleepy, you won't remember. So this could be something that you've been thinking about all day long, or here and now and then, but enough times to be right there. When you sleep with it. So when you wake up with it, you remember that something about that. And perhaps your wishes would be for him to suffer. And maybe that manifests itself in your dream. I don't have any other answer for it yet. Ah, there it is. You say, I broke up with my ex, then he moved on really quickly with a rebound and tried really hard to make me jealous. I wanted him about, I warned him about her and disappeared. She then cheated on him and he posted this on Valentine's Day and disappeared too. And Cato says the question is to you, do you think this is all possible, and how would you explain this with neuroscience or brain biology, or is it just a random coincidence? Also, is it really possible that if you are connected to someone in thoughts and they think about you a lot, they can come into your dreams? Well, I explained the part that how it's possible because of the energy connections, and we're all connected, swimming in it. So naturally, the all everything that exists, including trees and atmosphere and oceans and rocks and everything, they're all made of energy. So they act as a conduit. They act as a connecting conductors to get your energy to where you want it to go. It's possible, and I explained the example for you. But as far as mentally being connected, no, not really. I think you're just uh, thinking about him because you kind of pissed off that he moved on so quickly after you broke up. So you kind of feel like, oh, am I not worth that much? He moved on. You kind of feel sad that he didn't suffer much and he moved on with another girl. And maybe you're jealous a little bit. But however it is, it didn't rub you in the right way. And you didn't like it. So you kind of didn't mind if he would fail in that or suffer. And now you dream it that way. That manifests your own thoughts about it, not necessarily what really actually is. Maybe he's suffering. Who wouldn't suffer? If somebody has a girlfriend, the girlfriend cheats and all that, so of course he would suffer. But you interpreting it as him on the floor begging you, maybe something that he's thinking, maybe something that you're thinking. But there's no guarantee that this is accurate or not. Obviously, you're thinking of him. Hmm? So obviously, it tells me that if he comes to you and asks you to take him back, you would like to, because you want to prove that, hey, I'm better than that girl that you chose, and you can't do without me, and you're going to comply with what I wish. Maybe you want to be in power. That's why you want him to come back, so you can control him, or you can, tell him to change the way you want him to be. I'm not sure. I don't have enough information, so I hope that helps you out. And you say he was laying, and you said that, and he said, I actually felt spiteful and was depressed for a long time. There you go. But by this point, I didn't necessarily wish him to suffer because I already felt vindicted because she had cheated on him. Okay, so there we go. My hypothesis happens to be correct, and this is what you like to see him to suffer, not that he might be. It could be too. Who knows? After this experience, noticing that somebody cheated on him, and he says, she says, and actually, I felt really affected by my dream when I woke up, and I felt really bad for him. Well, because you're a human being and you had a relationship with him, naturally you don't like to see him suffer. But it was in a way manifestation of your wishes for him because you were pissed off that he so easily could replace you, and that was a demeaning thing to you. So naturally you would not like it. You were pretty pissed off, and so it it manifests itself into your dream in such pleasant way for you that he is begging and you're on top again. That's what your intention was. And you say he was laying on the bathroom floor with his mouth open, hallucinating and saying my name. Well, that's what you want him to do in order to vindicate you, in order for you to be vindicated. So, not necessarily, I don't think he was in the bathroom floor and opening his mouth and calling your name because that's just kind of, if that was the case, he would be in a hospital because obviously somebody would find him and take him to hospital. If he wants to call your name, he can sit on his couch and have a cup of tea and just call your name. You didn't see him that way because you had in your mind you want him to suffer. So maybe you should be a little bit more kind. And then says, and I was an angel kneeling over him because that's what you see yourself as, the angel to him, because you're better than the other girl and you compare yourself and you have this need to be chosen and to be given the echelon that you feel you deserve. You probably are pretty egoistic yourself, like you have this big ego that I should be loved and respected by anybody, and you probably broke up with him for nothing. I'm not sure. I'm just spitballing here because I have no information about it. But you probably just simply broke up with him based on uh, um, some pride and some egoistic expectations, and or maybe I don't know how the relationship or the type of man that he is. Maybe you just wanted to break him or bring him to line to behave in such a way that you would accept and it would be palatable to you. I don't know what your plan or what you went through, but these are some of the things I can say without knowing much here. And it says he was putting his hair, he was patting his hair with my hand. He was, or you were patting his hair with your hand. Yeah, yeah, because you like to be in the position of power, that I am better than you and you are controlled by me. You like to be in control, probably so. And you might want to kind of um, tone that down. You may lose all the guys because you want them to comply to your wishes. I'm not sure. Again, this is pertaining to you or not, but from this very little short discussion, I'm getting it. So anyhow, let's go by. We have a super chat from Luis Gonzalez. Thank you for the super chat. And it says, why do the woman I date act affectionate after the first year? After the first year, they stop. Oh, why the woman I date act affectionate at first, I guess, and after the first year, they stop. We break up, and then they want me again back. It happens every time. I usually have to tell them to leave me alone after a while. Well, you got to give me more. Why do you tell them to leave you alone after a while? You mean after you break up with them and they want you back and they persist and you tell them, leave me alone? Well, first of all, many women establish their position in a relationship by heavy offering of sex. Very affectionate, sexual, depending on the culture, they could be sexual the way that we consider what full on sexual intimacy is, or something to do to the level of the culture, sexual, affectionate, and paying attention and so on. But that is how many women who don't have much else to offer, or they have much else to offer, but they want to establish the position in a very strong way by offering what man wants the most: sex, affection, recognition. So they pour on that. If it's a culture that accepts full on sexual activity, then she gives it to him in whichever way he wants for the first almost a year. Then they stop pulling back. That's their way of control. Usually, these are narcissistic people who go on pour the emotions because they want the attention and ownership, and they are not so sure of themselves being able to endure the long run and keep the relationship interesting the long run. So they put in all their heavy artillery, whatever they have, they offer to make the man used to that kind of a interaction, totally convinced that this woman is the right woman for him, because all they can do is that, and they pack it in such condensed way in such a short time, as much as pleasure as they can they give to the man, and the man becomes kind of relinquishes all his guards because that's what he wants: intimacy, attention. They cook for him, they do all the things they could do, they look always nice, they give sex as best as they can, and they establish the position with what man wants the most. Then, when the man is convinced that these are the signals and evidences of the loyalty and affection and truthfulness of the woman, as she's offering everything she's got by her behavior and body, when the man is convinced of that loyalty, then he starts making concessions and becomes addicted to what the woman wants. And in the meantime, the woman starts changing: less sex and more of control. This is some of the plans that many women actually have in their mind. Some, it just happens to be that way because that's the only way they can interact in that relationship. They don't have much else to offer. So they rely on what they have to offer, which is very precious to man. We're all heterosexual male is programmed for procreation, wants sex. And if the woman plays her hand right, she's all dude up, all nice and all, you know, the place is always nice and tidy and comfort is available and she's always available for intimacy. Well, that is what hooks the man into that relationship. And then they start pulling back to control. Then they unleash the other interests as far as expectations, whatever it is. So naturally, they create that secretion of dopamine in the man's brain by all the pleasurable things that they can offer. So the man no longer is just doing it for sex, he's doing it to get the dopamine, because every time he's satisfied and gets sex and gets these comforts and sees that, okay, he's busy with his work and the woman is actually complying to every other thing that needs to be done, let's say. So he gets that happy feeling, that feeling of something good is happening. And every time that this comfort is happening, there's dopamine released, sex and comfort of everything. And then after a while, no longer sex as important as it is, but it's also he's doing it to get the after sex feeling of the dopamine release. Then he gets hooked on the dopamine, which is result of her entertainment and her offerings. And then once he's hooked, not that they really know all these things, but this is the process. They start pulling back because all they think of is, I'm going to give him everything. That he really believes that I'm here and they actually want him. But then their natural, some women, not all women, their natural tendency is to now try to move on to the second program, which is controlling and trying to own all the things that is happening in that life. So they pull back. They start not being so sexually available. They start not doing all the things. And little by little, the man is going to feel deprived from that good feeling, the psychological security, the commitment that they were feeling the woman has, the dopamine that was hitting them every time with all these good feelings. So feels now in need of those and it starts complying to what the woman is actually now changed into. So the remedy to that is simply when you see the woman has changed, it's no longer the same way, but you have continued to be the same gentleman, the same kind person, taking care of her and doing all the things that you're within your responsibilities and your duties, then you simply break it off. Tell them to go. You discuss this matter and say, this is how it's what, this is how it is. If she doesn't change, you give her a few chances. If she doesn't change, end it. Because that is not a healthy relationship. That maybe started as a healthy relationship and she was in love genuinely, but obviously she doesn't have anything more to give. Therefore, she doesn't have enough confidence to bring a real good relationship and sustain it. Therefore, she's now after control because she's afraid the way she is and she knows how she is not going to be able to hold this relationship. So she wants to now get as much as she can out of it by turning this whole thing into a controlling mechanism. And that's when you need to have a discussion. And if it doesn't get fixed, then each wish each other well and go on your own merry ways. I hope that answers the question. And again, this is not about all women, but many are like that, especially in this day and age. All right. Oh my goodness, my brother from Hawaii is here. Chester is here. It says, where's Chester? Chester? Is that the first message you have? No, here it is, Chester. Chester, male, 27, Hawaii. Aloha, Marin. Aloha, Chester, dear. Good to see you here. A message from home. I'm suffering from not being in Hawaii. I long for my hometown. Says long time no see. Hope you are doing good. Busy with work this past month. Good, glad. Says glad I could make it to your live stream. I'm delighted that you did as well. And wonderful to hear from you. Uh, and Luis Gonzalez says I'm 32 from Miami, Florida. Okay, thank you for that. And Delegani says 24 May, London. Says Durud Mehran. Oh, thank you very much. He says, how do I stop the urges to check the social media of my long distance ex who blocked me? Oh, you should have respect for yourself. Someone blocks you, you never want to have anything to do with them ever again. That's disrespectful. And when someone blocks you, not because you've been an asshole, just because they want to show power and they want to show like, oh, I'm better than you. And those are idiots. Just idiots, weak characters and vindictive and lack of confidence. Because blocking someone, if that someone has been courteous and nothing there, it's just an act of violence of I'm better than you. Ah, move on from it. Those kind of characters, you don't worth your time at all, regardless. You're looking at it not because she blocked you. You're looking at it because you like girls, and she's the one you knew and you have access to. But don't discipline yourself that someone who's not at par with what you expect and proper respectful behavior, it's got no business to have your attention. Don't give that attention. I don't care what you want to look at pretty girls. I don't know. Go to other pictures of pretty girls. Google beautiful woman pictures. Okay, that's it. Why do you have to check with her? If she's blocked you, well, then you want to have nothing to do with someone who's that arrogant. And I don't believe you've done anything weird or to deserve that. So don't discipline yourself. Listen, you have a choice. You can either allow yourself to fall in for the nonsense, even though that bad behavior, you still want to look at her. Why? Why would you want to look at someone who's got bad behavior? Why? What? Their behavior is what the relationship is all about. If their behavior is not good, I don't care how good they look. Because the personality of a person is not in their look, is how the consciousness is functioning. And if their consciousness is so ugly, why would you want to look at them? Pretty physical, ugly manners. Waste of time. Both should meet your standards. Physical look and proper consciousness. Then okay, you spend time and attention and energy. Otherwise, why should you? Hmm. I understand cute. Cute. So if he was abusive and cheater, and you admit that you're egoistic, and he was abuser and cheater, well then breakup made in heaven. So that's a good decision. Cute says, I wouldn't say I'm egoistic, but definitely as a female, I'm a little proud, but I'm very, very sweet and supportive in a relationship. Okay. He was my first boyfriend. So you wanted to make him perfect. That's why you probably became a little bit too rigid and unforgiving. But if he has cheated, well, that's a no-brainer. That's a deal breaker. So I don't blame you. And how old are you, Q? You never said, did you? Or did you? I think you said they're 31 or something, yeah? No, 23. 23, yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, well, you're not that, you're not like 17 or 18. So 23, and if he cheated on you, that's no brainer. That's a that's a breakup deal breaker anyhow. So no blame on you on that part. Abusive, no man should be abusive to a woman, and no woman should be abusive to a man. But so two bad qualities, and you broke it up. Fine, perfect. Now, why do you want to have him back? You think because you can fix it? Well, I don't know. Maybe you like to give him a chance if he comes back, and then if he didn't man up and he didn't behave properly, then the last time get rid of him. And he says he was my first boyfriend, but he lost it to her. He lost what to her? And Chester says, Mayran, my friend still down about what happened with his ex-girlfriend. He keeps telling me how depressed he is every time he sees his ex-girlfriend with the guy she's currently dating on social media. Well, have him to maybe he likes to make an appointment with me on Skype, and then we'll deal with it because there are certain things that I perhaps would need, and then or maybe he can come here and ask a question or something, and perhaps we can help him. Uh, Louise says when they pull back, I start to think they don't like me anymore. No, who cares? Listen, you're focusing on when they pull back. Why don't you focus on when they were full on? So how come you don't say, oh, they like me, and then you only focus on, oh, that means they don't like me. Well, they don't like you. That means they're shitting on their own head because they're the ones who decided to like you before. They're the ones who are changing. So it's not on you. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about them not being clear to themselves and not respecting their own choices and being wishy-washy. That's a weak character. For no reason changing their behavior towards you. Huh? So why you focus on the fact that, oh, now that they're not so paying so much attention, that means they don't like me? Why do you have to focus on how much they like you? Just be decent, be the gentleman that you are, do the best you can do. And if they do like you, that's on them. If they don't like you, that's on them. It's not on you. You're being a, normal, respectable, decent boyfriend. If they change their mind, it's not about you, it's about them. Because they're the same one who liked you. So how come they liked you then? They don't like you now. So it's not on you. You haven't changed. It's on them. So in that case, you can't do anything about it. How can you control people's behavior? It's not your business, and it shouldn't be your concern or your worries. It's on them. And that kind of character they cannot rely on, that they can't even believe in themselves and their own choices. You don't want to be around. Let them go. Don't be so needy about, oh, they liking me means I'm good. They don't like me or they don't give me what I want as much as they used to. That means they don't like me. Oh, I'm not good. No, it's independent who you are to them. You're independent from their attention. You're a good gentleman based on certain values and certain principles that you hold high. And you don't deviate from them, then from those values that you hold high, then you're great. Whoever likes you, hey, good for them. Whoever don't, oh, they don't understand any better. That's how you should think. Not that their choices about you defines you. No, it doesn't. It defines them. It's like, as I said before, somebody goes into the jewelry store and there's a diamond ring in the same design, cubic zirconian, and crystal and glass. If they choose the crystal ring and they don't know the difference, it doesn't devalue the diamond. The diamond's value doesn't go up and down by them choosing it or not choosing it. Diamond has a certain value in the, in, what is it? Uh, Whatever it is, the value of things in the world. So it's not depending on if they choose it, it goes up. If they don't choose it, goes down. No. They choose the cubic zirconian or the uh, crystal. That means that's their understanding. It doesn't diminish the diamond's value. And the ones who understand the diamond, they look for that. They only choose that. So that's how you should think of yourself. You're the diamond. You don't go up and down because of their choices. Their choices do not define you. It defines them, their own level of understanding and expectation and standards. All right. Cute. As much as I want to continue this, but I can't turn it into one one-on-one discussion. So If you like, you can go on my site, mind@sixtruth.com, make an appointment for a Skype appointment, and for 1 hour registration appointment, I usually, for the first timers, the first clients, new clients, I throw in another extra hour. So we'll have 2 hours to explore what's concerning you one on one on Skype. That's for everybody who is a new client. And just as he feels guilty that he treated her bad, well, yeah, okay, I understand that. What action does he need to take, and his thought process in battling his guilt and not feeling sad that his ex girlfriend is dating someone? Mahalo meron. Well, first of all, the first is that he's recognized that he treated her bad, and if he really has, or is it because he's in love with her and she's with somebody else, and so he just wants to consider himself treating her bad, and regardless of what he has done, because he thinks she deserves more because he's in love with her. If that's not the case, and he actually did treat her bad, bad in, I don't know what bad means in here, but if he actually treat her bad, well, first thing is that the fact that he's recognized that is a good positive sign. He has recognized, and so he can modify that behavior so he won't make that mistake again towards her or another girlfriend that he will be having. Second is that if he really feels that has been such a behavior that needs a certain recognition, then he can write a nice, apologetic, and appreciative letter, email to her, and explain that his regret for having treated her bad. Don't ask anything from her. Tell him, don't ask anything from her. Like, let's get back together, give me another chance. All that nonsense. None, none. Just say, I just wanted to say hello. I've been very stressed about the way I behaved with you and did not meet my own expectations about treating you the way I should have treated you. My shortcomings are not on you, they're on me. And I want to take full responsibility for that and extend my sincere apologies for not having measured up to what I thought you surely deserve. I hope you forgive me. I will always think of you positively, and it was a great experience in my life, and I thank you for that. Wish you well, and whatever his name is. That's it. Enough. He has expressed his sadness and apology to her, and has satisfied his own expectation of his own behavior, better version of himself, and he will elevate himself by this email. And at the same time, he has delivered what any man can deliver as far as standing responsible for his own behavior toward a woman, and hopefully treating her bad doesn't mean that he has raised his hand on her or has done anything abusive, but perhaps not to the standard that he wished he had treated her better, if that's the case. So anyhow, this could perhaps help him out, and it would put his mind at ease, and nothing more. Just wish her well, and that's it. And Deep Diver is here and says, carrots, man. Diamond value by is by carrots. Yes, I know, I know. You're a woman, aren't you? We know that. You're focusing on the size of the diamond, not the fact that it's diamond. Say, why is it not bigger? I understand. I empathize. Yes, correct. By the carrot, not by comparison. I understand. Kyo says he denies that he ever cheated on me. Well, maybe he never did. Or maybe he did and he's just playing it to the last breath. I did not have a relationship with that woman. Oh, that's a famous sentence. One of the presidents of the United States. I did not have. All right. Now, what do we have here? Have you answered everything? Ah, and the longer name for I love singing says, I meant to tell you about David's tea. David's tea. Are you in Vancouver? How could you know David's tea? David's tea is here. Says I've been drinking it for a couple of months now. I purchased the loose leaf, and they have all different flavors, and they are delicious. They also have a subscription. Oh, online. You bought it online. You get 4 boxes a year. And David's tea is just about across the street from me. Yeah, I've got some of them here. Some of their stuff here. Um, I guess you went online, right? Where you? I forgot. Where you located? And Mark says, "Hi, just going on my nightly walk. Male 37 UK. Hello, Mark. Good of you to join us." And Mark says, England versus Italy in the Euro 2020 final tomorrow. I'm nervous. Why are you nervous? England's going to beat Italy. That's for sure. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And Deep Diver says, hello, Meran, your subscriber from Tehran. Oh, yes, I now just see your first message. Lovely to see you here. Welcome always from that far away. Did you know that my name has only one alphabet separation between the capital of Tehran? Just take the T off, put an M, that's my name. Chester says, Mehran, what happened to your left thumb? Oh, this one? By the way, this is not blood. This is chocolate. I was I was on the phone and having a piece of chocolate that I had just taken out from the fridge to eat, but then I had to go on the phone, so it was in my hand, and then it melted a bit, so it kind of nudged it to here. So, well, the story of this is very simple and stupid. I'm usually very, very careful in when I handle knife, and I clearly see where my fingers are and what direction the knife can slip and travel, and quite conscious of it. And that's why I usually don't have any accidents of this sort. A week ago, I was thinking, oh, it's been a long time I haven't cut my hand, or it looks like it never happened. Sure enough, 2 nights ago, I had a I was watching something or doing some work, some video work or whatnot, and then I took a break, and there was a pistachio on my table which was closed up. It wasn't open for me to just open it. It had a little broken spot in there, so I said, okay, maybe from here I can, shove something into it and open it and enjoy it. So I used some stuff that was on my table, some toothpick and stuff. It didn't work. So I took my favorite knife, which I never use. It's like a hunting knife, but I never use. It's very sharp. So okay, I was lazy maybe to go get a, I don't know, fork or something. So I opened it and I put that in here, but I was holding it with my thumb and not focusing that this thing ergonomically is designed to slip. So I was doing this and it slipped and shoop, cut my thumb like a, I don't know, butter. So it was quite, a good amount of, healthy amount of blood. But I quickly put some Kleenex around it and start pushing on it hard. And I learned the technique, instead of keeping my finger on it hard, eventually after a few minutes, I push this to my belt right here. It's easier. It's like I'm standing with the posture. And I pushed it with my leather belt against my waist. And it did the job, but comfortably my other hand was free to do other things while I was, taking care of that. So then I put some alcohol in it, wrapped it, and then I slept. In the morning, I woke up and checked it. It was okay, but it looked messy. It looked um, still blood coming. I think when I was trying to open it up to check it, it opened the wound. So I decided to go to the clinic and have it properly taken care of. So I went to the doctor and walk-in clinic, and he cleaned it and bandaged it, and it looked good. It looked like it was, and he put some antibacterial cream on it, and just to make sure. And he said, "Don't open it for 2 days, and then we'll look at it." And looks good, he said, and it did look good. It was a straight, clean cut. So that's the story. Pistachio cut. Uh, all right. And we have Chester with Super Chat. Says, "Thanks, Mayron, for your advice. Here's some funds for some hot tea." Thank you very much. And dry mangoes. Look, no longer dry mangoes. I'm having fresh mangoes all the way, Hawaiian style. And he says, "By the way, what happened to your left?" Oh, yeah, okay. I saw it later. I guess, hope it's not broken. No, no, it's not broken. It's cut. And we have a super chat from A underscore Libra named underscore Val. So does that mean you're born as a Libra? You're you're between what, 23rd of September and, or no, you're in October up to 23rd of October, right? End of September to 23rd of October. I'm Libra as well. And your name is Val, right? I guess that's what it is. And she says, "Well, your next tea is on me. Enjoy." Well, thank you very much, love. I appreciate that. I wish I had David's tea across the street from Milo. Well, tell me what you want. I can get it fresh here and send it to you. That's not a big deal. If you can't find something there online, which I'm sure you can, but if you didn't, I'll check it out here. Let me know. Luis Gonzalez, lots of smiles, and Deep Diver says, "Actually, Mehran, I'm a diamond quality woman. I'm sure you are. Who would buy a zirconium ring." Oh, okay. A fake person needs a real diamond to validation. A real person can wear a zirconium and everyone will think it's real. It's true. It's true. It's actually true. But remember one thing I learned, I'm going to share with you, I learned from my mother. Um, One day when my father was alive, I saw my mother washing dishes in, my father had built a beautiful home with amazing ocean view, and it was top of the here in this hill. And it was a very nice house. And in that elaborate kitchen, my mom was washing the dishes, that she was cooking something, and she had this huge diamond ring that my dad had bought for her, and that thing was big. So I said, "Mom, what are you doing? You're having your ring on when you're doing it. Why don't you just keep it for a special occasion?" In Farsi, we say "Heife," means it's too good for what you're doing. I don't have the word in English. Just hang on. Let me see if I can muster that up because it can lose in translation. I never used this. Hmm, there's no explanation. There's no translation. Okay, so I just meant that you're doing something that is not meeting the standards of having such a diamond ring on when you're doing it. So I said, um, it's not, I don't know, I don't know the word hate. What is hate? Figure it out. Look at your Farsi to English dictionary and see if you can come up with that word, hafe. Hafe. It's a, it's a word in English means, you know, when you're wearing your nice clothes when you want to go play soccer, and your mom or somebody, your friend says, "Hey, don't wear that clothes. That clothes would get ruined for this uh, occasion." So it's not taking good care of the clothes. So anyhow, that's the meaning of it. So I said to my mom, I said, "Mom, hey fit, you're wearing your amazing ring while you're washing dishes. That's not doing justice to the ring." My mom took a look at me and said, "Hey, man," meaning what's not being done justice to is me, not the ring. So I wear it at any occasion I wish it because I am worth more than the ring. That's pretty much what it means. Like I said, oh, the ring worth so much, don't use it in this way. And mom's reaction was, no, uh, I worth a lot more than the ring. So the ring is for my use. The moral of the story is not that my mother meant it in any malicious or um selfish way. She taught me that pay respect and value to yourself before you pay to things. They are for your pleasure and enjoyment, and have that value in your mind that you're most valuable in comparison to things around you. And you know, from that day, I had an easier way to wear the T-shirts that I bought and I never wore, and waiting for special moments. So I wear what I like. The expensive suit that you wait to wear it on special occasions, and that special occasion will never come or not as often. So I wear it when I feel like it. You know, I don't care how much it is. A $3,000 suit, wear it. Don't wait. And that was a lesson that I think it's good to share, which means value yourself beyond things. And in that way, you enjoy life better. If you don't respect yourself and don't value yourself, nobody else may do it. So you teach others by the way you behave and treat yourself. And the others will learn from your leadership about how you expect to be treated when you treat yourself in a certain proper way, and they will see it and they'll copy it. You don't, then you need it. So that's probably the message. Chester said, "That's deep, Mehran. Your mother is priceless." Yeah. Deep diver says, "I'm wise like your mom." Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. And we have another super chat from the deep diver says, "It's a pity." Yeah, pity, I had that word, but pity doesn't really mean the hate. Like, yeah, hate, it's a pity. Not really. It doesn't work. Like, a pity is like a pity that you feel this way. pity that it broke. But Heife is like, this is too precious to be used in this way. Anyhow, and a Libra named Val says, that is very profound. Your mom is wise. Yeah, I think she is. She's 88 years old right now. And I remember she used to play tennis and I used to run around. I was a little kid and trying to get the balls that she was playing tennis with her coach. And she said, I don't remember it, but she said that I stopped playing tennis because one day when you ran into the court to pick up the ball and give it to me, I didn't notice and I was about to get a forehand stroke and I hit you in the head. I said, that's why I'm like this, mom. Half crazy. You probably hit me in the head. I don't remember that. I have no recollection of it, but maybe it looked like she was, but she may be exaggerating. But anyhow, that's why she said, from then on, I never played tennis again. Yeah. So we have a super chat from Axolot. Axolot, okay. Says, I've never been able to achieve intimacy, including parents, friends, and romantic interests. Physically and mentally abused 5 times a week on average by mom, teachers, and friends. Forgiven my mom. Axel, give me a little bit more. First of all, I want to know the question and the context of this question. And what kind of abuse are you talking about? Like physical and mentally abuse mean they beat you and they kind of disrespected you or demeaned you or they kind of put you down or embarrassed you. And tell me your age and which culture you're from, where you're tuning in from. Give me a little bit more, if you will, and I'll come back to it. Cute says, can you at least agree with me that someone who is in love and happy in their new relationship wouldn't bother talking about their ex all the time or trying to make them jealous? Of course, it's natural. Why would you be talking about your ex if you're still hung up on him or her? So obviously, that was not the right thing to do, and he shouldn't have done it, and that means something. But you seem to have the same need for him to talk about you because you feel good about it, which is which means you must have hurt him as much as you hurt yourself when you saw him move on, because you wanted him to suffer, but he didn't much. He just went on and found another girl, and you felt evaluated, unappreciated, and that's the problem that your ego is going to put you into. Sometimes you react just to show power rather than bring solution or resolve something or discuss or communicate and handle or manage something. Those reactions must be measured and thought through. So it's not an act of violence because then it has been its intention it is not necessarily to react, is to take revenge. And that means you haven't really thought about its effect on you and what tangents that he could react, one, what direction he could react towards, which ended up you're not thinking how it's going to affect you if he moves on. You just wanted to punish him. And this punishment was too harsh. Instead of, let's say, don't talk to him, don't pay attention to him, or deprive him from certain affection or certain um, interaction with him. You just went to the highest degree that you could do without really properly having investigated or figured out if he really did have an affair or not. Maybe something that you thought he did. Maybe something that was inappropriate in his behavior, but it wasn't really the cheating. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm just saying, before you bring the big guns and bring the final solution to a problem, which in this case was the breakup, you may want next time to explore other avenues, more discussions, and uh, figuring things out and how it's going to affect you, how it's going to affect him, and not throw a temper tantrum by just decreeing something and reacting in a momentary decision and then regretting it later. Obviously, you did regret it later because you wanted him to suffer. And when he didn't and he moved on, you start suffering to the point that you're actually happy that you're still data hunting. Agree with me that he's doing this and he wasn't, if he wasn't over me, because you don't want him to be over you because you're jealous as well. And so these are all things that is initiated by lack of management to, you see, punishment should be in proportion to the crime. You can't just chop someone's hand because he stole something, and that's that's way horrible punishment for the crime. It's not proportionate. Hmm? So what you did without having enough information may have been overextended, something that it actually affected you by committing to it, not just him. And then you're going through this whole thing. Now, I bet you're waiting for him to contact you and to ask you to take him back. And you may still say no because now you want to kind of up it rather than saying, okay, let's try it again. We'll see. But you will always go on that whole hypothesis that you cheated on me without really having proper um, evidence, because that's how you want it to be, so you can have the upper hand and find someone guilty. Sometimes people in relationship, they don't necessarily want to break up, but they just want somebody to feel guilty so they could have the upper hand. And sometimes it backfires. All right. Luis Gonzalez says, how do you request the private consultation? Sorry, I missed. I don't see anything in the description. Well, you simply go to my site, which is, this is my site, mind@seekstruth.com. When you go to my site, mind@seekstruth.com, then you'll see um, buttons that says talk to Mehran or consultation, or there's a emblem of Skype turning on top right corner of the page. You can click on that or click on talk to Mehran via Skype or consultation. It'll take you to a page where you can choose time, or at least a um, span of time of a certain day, days that you're available and times that you could be available. Then I will confirm it on Skype. You have your Skype, it asks you for your Skype address, and then I'll confirm it on Skype, and we fine tune the time on Skype back and forth, and then we'll have our chat. And again, for 1 hour consultation registration, I will throw in another hour, so you'll have 2 hours to get to know the concept and what's concerning you one on one on Skype. And Han says, Mehran, any thoughts on the fear? Han, first of all, I need to know your age, gender, and where you're tuning in from, which country. Because the way it looks like is I'm calling you honey, because hun, what's going on, honey? No, don't do that, hon. Not now. I'm full. I just ate. Thank you. No more food. Or you want to go biking? No, hon, not right now. So what have you done? You purposely chose that name so everybody will call you honey. You feel good about yourself, don't you? I should think of that. Hmm. I changed my name to, well, I don't know. So, so, oh, okay. Let's see. Louis says, thank you. You're welcome. And Cute says, no, I didn't want to punish him. We broke up because he cheated. But you said you don't know if he cheated. And he didn't want to break up till the last day of the breakup. I was very civilized about it. What do you mean? The act of breaking up is very violent, let alone, doesn't matter how it's done. Darling, I'm sorry. I want to break up with you now. Will you shove off? That's no different than saying, I hate you, get out of my. It's all the same. It's all violent. Doesn't matter what word you use, because it's something that nobody wants if they don't want. So, and it says, "We're civilized, yet he promised he would get revenge on me." Well, he did, didn't he? Thought he's the one who abused me, and though he's the one who abused me, and he caused the breakup, caused the breakup, caused our breakup. And he then moved on with his co-worker who liked him and whom he called ugly. Oh, I see. Okay. So I only offered because my trust. Okay. All right. All right. Let's go to Amelia. Amelia says, I'm aware of the fact that my current boyfriend. Amelia, before we go further, age, gender, where you know, tuning in from. Mr. High Class, again, same thing. I need age, gender, and where you guys tuning in from before I go on. Hans says, Meran, you can call me however you like, of course. But Ham is fine. Ham is Han, is Han. Oh, Han. Okay, so I need a little info. Age, gender, where you tuning in from. Everybody, please. The ones who are asking a question, I need that. And Abdul Razak says, you missed my mine, Mehran. Oh, did I? Your message. Okay, let me go to Abdul Razak until I get Amelia's. Okay, Amelia says 25, the Netherlands, female. Thank you for that. And Mr. High Class says male, 33 years old from Holland. Okay, I have some good memories from Holland, Netherlands, when I was a kid. I'll tell you guys later. So let's go to Abdul Razak, who happened to be filling the question here. And Abdul Razak, I don't see your question. Is there? Is it here somewhere? Uh, I do not see the question, Abdul Razak. You might want to resend it. Oh, while I'm here, I see Jimmy. He says, hello, sir. I want to thank you very much. You have helped me very, very much with HOCD. I want to know if you can help me with anxiety. Sometimes I get anxious without knowing why. Yeah. Possibly I could. Why don't you go on my site, mind@sixtruth.com, and first of all, let me know your age, gender, of course, obvious, but where you're tuning in from. And then you can go on my site. I put the link down there, mind@sixtruth.com. Make an appointment on Skype, and then we'll discuss that because that needs back and forth live discussions rather than just this way. Abdul Razak, I don't see your question, so I go to Amelia. No, we go to Han first. Han says, Mehran, any thoughts on the fear of getting left alone or denied in relationships in connection with being born 2 months too early and put in the glass box with lights? Oh, I see. So you were born premature and you were put in the box with the yellow light for for light to um, I think that is for uh, managing jaundice, but or it would be just for keeping the right temperature for your completion of course. No, there's no bloody connection whatsoever about you having been born 2 months early or 2 months late or right on time with having anything to do with relationships or chances of having the love of your life or finding what's what you're looking for in the relationship category. None whatsoever. So stop thinking that way. There's nothing wrong with you. Lots of people are born, a few months early or a month late even. So they should be really mature when they go in and have a date right away, or they should be really wise or change it. Nothing like that. Um, Pretty much the first few months is very important, but the last few months is can be done outside. So it's not a big deal at all. You're perfectly fine, and I'm sure your doctors have said that there's nothing wrong with you. So stop this nonsense in your head. It stops you from going after what you like. Denied in relationship? No, nothing. Are you kidding me? Who's gonna look at me and know if I was born right on time or a bit late or a month or 2 weeks or whatever early? What does that have to do with anything? You just obviously have a perfectionist uh, way of thinking. You probably have OCD, like most people on this earth, or many people, one way or another. They have all kinds, and you probably think that everything you come up with things that causes you to think you're not perfect, and you find things. Oh, I moved this way yesterday. That's not the perfect way of athlete moving. The hell? Oh, maybe I damaged something because it was not a proper move. Or maybe I'm not as smart as I should be because I was born on this day of the month. All this nonsense is because you have the OCD of wanting to be perfect, perfectionism. Just leave it all. It's all bullshit. Um, so there's no such relationship at all, and you're just perfectly fine. You can get any girl that would find you compatible, and you find her compatible, and it's got nothing to do with anything. Abdul Razak says, male 22, Copenhagen. I broke up with my ex around 12 months. We have had zero contact since the start of April. Look, when you say I broke up with my girl around 12 months, what does that mean? Around 12 months ago or around 12 months into the relationship? So just one word missing. No. So we have had zero contact since the start of April. Obviously, again, I don't know if that is when you broke up or that was before that you broke up but you had contacts with each other and then you stopped having contact from April. I don't know. Again, please be a little bit more precise, guys. This is not a one-on-one. Therefore, the sooner I have all the info, the sooner we can discuss it. the meat of the matter. So it says, we haven't had contact since April. However, I still think about her regularly. So what's wrong with that? The rule of it is because you think about sex every, I don't know, depending on how you're built and how busy you are, every 10, 25 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute, depending again what you're doing, what your focus is on. And because you think about sex that often during the day, the most recent girlfriend or relationship, serious relationship or meaningful relationship, is the girl that comes to your mind because that's the most recent in the hierarchy of the memory. So the one that is pointing towards it naturally by default is the most recent girlfriend. It's not that you think she's the best of the best, because if it was, you wouldn't be breaking up. Obviously, there was problems and issues that you guys broke up, but that was the most recent, meaningful, emotional relationship. So, because of this tendency of thinking about sex and intimacy, that's a natural interest of a human being. It by default calls up your most recent relationship girl, and that's her. But it's not a sign to say, oh, because I think of her so much, then that's the right girl. No, you think of it only because she's the most recent one. There's uh, no logic to it. That oh, that's a sign. Okay. It says I think about her regularly. How do I stop myself from doing this? Don't. Why do you have to stop it? It's not something that you. Sometimes you might sit and and look at, remember the memory of being with her, places you went, things you did. Pleasant, enjoy it, have a cup of tea, and say, "Oh, that was a lovely. Yeah, it was a lovely time, lovely girl." And okay, but then quickly update the file. That yes, those were all lovely. That's when we were in that way. But she changed, I changed, or whatever happened, bring about the topic of the difficulties and challenges and problems, and update that file with the problems that you issued, the changes and the actuality of her today, how she treats you today, how you guys treated each other. Bring that to the picture if you think you're being carried over. You're uh, you can't stop thinking that how delicious that relationship was, and now you remembered all the good things, but you're carrying it more instead of stopping it. Then quickly update, bring about the problems that you know about that relationship, how things progressed, how things ended up, how changes she had made in her character, what changes you had made in your character, how she treated you, how you treated. You bring all that and say, oh, okay, it doesn't, okay, it was nice to remember those memories, but there are things that I don't want to go back to that because that was when it was like that. But at the end, the actuality of us is not how the things I remember. It's how it is now, which is not valid. That's why we broke up. So think about the reasons that you broke up. So update the file so you will stop that. But if you constantly go toward the process of desire being born, and all these steps, prerequisites for desire to be born, is already recorded here. It's already exists here. It doesn't have to happen again in actuality for you to have that desire to be born again. Once the prerequisites of a certain desire is already established in your psyche, then every time you remember of her, all the prerequisites of desire is already recorded and comes up with the memory as a prerequisite that have been fulfilled, and therefore desire is reborn again. So what you need to do is to look at my video, desire and how to stop it. And you stop the desire from born at a certain window before you allow that image of benefits of that relationship or that product that you want to buy or you're interested in be created in your mind. You stop that image. Once you stop that image from being produced, desire does not get a chance to be reborn. And in this case, all the prerequisites steps of desire exist in your memory. So you don't have to do anything And because the brain doesn't understand the difference between actuality or virtuality, when it recognizes the actual steps of the prerequisites for desire to be born exist in the mind, in the memory, it doesn't care that it's a virtuality. It thinks it's actuality again. And it accepts it and lets the desire to be born and creates the desire to be born. You need to understand this is virtuality, this is not reality, this is not actuality, and stop that part where the image of the benefits of the desire occurs and is created in your brain, and therefore desire stops. I'm going to put the video that I meant for you to watch. The longer versions, if you just go in and key in desire in the list, you will have different ones. You have a fear, desire, ego, 23 minutes. You have desire and how to stop it, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And you have the longer version, how desire is born and how to stop it, which is 10 minutes. So I'm going to put the 3-minute one because I know you guys are lazy. That's why my channel is not that populated and successful, because people don't like to learn anything. They want everything to be injected into them. Shove it up in 2 words. And they say, oh, but I don't understand. Yeah, because it's 2 words. If you really want to understand, you got to research it. You got to figure it out. So I'm going to put the short one here for the people who don't want to, don't want to get to, anyhow, watch it and that could help you out. Abdul Razak. And so now, we got to go to, I think it was, I was going to address Mel, no, was it Amelia? Amelia, 25, Netherlands, female. She says, now I gotta find her question. See, this is what you guys do. When you put the question, don't put your age and credentials on. I gotta go back in there and find it, and then it takes a whole day to find it. There it is. No? Amelia? Okay, I don't see Amelia. There's one here that says, I'm aware of the fact that my current boyfriend of 2 years doesn't share similar values and goals as I do. I'm aware that this relationship won't work, but I'm too weak to break it up with him. Yeah. Well, are you too weak to break it up with him, or you're waiting to have a replacement first so you won't have to feel the vacuum? And you're looking from a relationship, you're looking for conclusion in a relationship, meaning you're not looking for a relationship for a relationship. You're looking for a relationship to be a vehicle to a destination, which is fine. But sometimes you don't always find the right person right away, but you have certain kind of a psychological security in that relationship, certain kind of fun. What you seem to say, unless it's a perfect person, meets all my requirements, I don't even want to have that relationship continued because it's not going to get anywhere. Which means you're seeking conclusion, destination. You don't think that maybe you're having fun or you may learn something from it, or it could be a practice run, and you can maybe be honest and tell him that, look, I don't think this relationship is going to go anywhere, but at some points we are compatible in some things. So we have a choice. We can break it off and go and find somebody who's more compatible to us, or we can just enjoy each other until we find somebody that is more compatible, then we break up. What do you think? So you let him be involved in that decision making. So he's always also aware that you're looking somewhere else and he could be also looking somewhere else. You give this chance to each other while you want to be together because there are some aspects of each other that you like and you don't want to be alone or you're enjoying it. But if you're okay with it and you don't need anybody around you until you find somebody else, and no matter when that's going to be, then by all means, go break it off and free yourself without having to um, have it have all the points be satisfactory to your standards or expectations. So, and Mr. High Class says, my girlfriend cheated on me while she was on drugs. Then 4 weeks later, she begged me to come back. Mistake. I took her back. Now she's in a rehab clinic and went cold on me again. Am I stupid to still miss her? No, you're not stupid. You're a human being and you liked someone or loved someone, and that someone is in trouble. And naturally, you are feeling for her because whether she's in rehab or not, you still see her as the same person who made you feel in a certain way when she was not doing these exercises of being on drugs and so on. But the fact that you gave into your desire for pleasure versus your assessment of her qualifications based on her habits and behavior and not being compatible with your lifestyle or way of thinking, that's a problem because you gave priority to uh, seeking pleasure and fulfilling your desire rather than uh, looking for a proper match which meets the standards of your lifestyle. First of all, if somebody's on drugs and you're not, hopefully, why would you want to have a why would you think that the relationship is going to end well? Obviously, she's on drugs, meaning she's out of it. When she's out of it, she can do all kind of crazy things. Cheating is the least of it. She's hooked on some kind of a substance that has taken away her will to control and to command her life. If she can't command and control her own behavior in life because she's under influence of some substance, how do you think it's going to affect and make the right decisions for the relationship that you're both involved in? How's that going to happen? You're separating the two. You think, oh, well, as long as I can get sex or I love her. Why do you love her? On what basis? You don't love her because if you loved her, you would expect different things than the way she's living. You're attracted to someone physically, that's different than loving her. But most people think lust is love. You see a beautiful girl, say, oh, I love her. You don't, because love happens in the consciousness level. What do you know of her consciousness incompatible with yours? You can see it's not. She's in drugs. She goes and hangs out with people who are in drugs, on drugs, and hopefully you're not. So where do you think compatibility starts or ends here? And when you notice that she's on drugs, you should have ended it then. But you waited and she was on drugs and she cheated on you, and that cheating is the reason for you to break up with her, not the drugs. But what are your standards? Is drugs acceptable to your standards? Cheating is not? Both are not? Both are? What? If something is not in accordance to your standards and expectations for a relationship, then why do you put up with it? Why do you separate that hindrance from what the pleasure part of it is, and you endure the negative behavior for your selfish desire to be fulfilled through the pleasure you receive from that same entity that you don't approve of certain behavior of hers. So you're being very selfish and very you're using her because unless you like a girl who's on drugs, which is again using her, or you forego the fact or don't pay attention to the fact that she's on drugs because you want to fulfill pleasure, fulfill your desire through pleasure. So you're focusing on the intimacy and the things that pleases you, but you really closing your eyes on what is not good for her, let alone you. So your effort should have been on, look, this is not my lifestyle. And you took her back, well, that was very stupid. You should have helped her to see there's a problem. And if she wants to have a relationship with you, she got to take care of that and get rid of that and deal with it, manage it. Instead, you just took her back. What good is it to her you take her back? It's good for you. You're going to have the pleasure of sex and things that you expected or your emotional needs. But she's still on drugs. You didn't help her that way. You should have. Now that she's on rehab, that's great news. Hmm? It's great news. Now, if she actually sticks with it, well, you can be together. But there should be a condition to be observed. Neither one of you should be on drugs. If you want a lasting relationship and have more compatibility. And if she can't hold on to that, then you wish her well and you gotta go. Because no one who's on drugs would end up having a normal life. It's always gonna eat up from their relationship, times, clarity, and all these other things that life needs you wholeheartedly there, all of you, to deal with challenges. You can't just be on vacation partly and then try to deal with challenges that the life throws at you. So talk to her and say, listen, I like you and we have a chance, but this is ruining your life and our relationship. What's your plans? Are you gonna hang around with those people again, or you see a drug, you wanna use it as escape because life is challenging? Life is gonna be challenging until we die. You can't escape from it into drugs or other kind of weird stuff. That's not gonna solve your problem. It's just gonna take you out of the actuality of life and reality of life and put you in a la la land. But whenever you come back from the la la land, same challenges still exist because you haven't dealt with them. So what are you going to do? Constantly be on drugs and be on la la land so you feel you've managed or dealt with the challenges of life? That's not realistic. Excuse me. Wow. All right. Column says, I don't want my orientation to change. Your orientation doesn't change on its own. Your orientation is what it was when you were born from your mother's womb. Your brain goes to suggest certain things, and it's up to you to keep it in line by comparing the suggestions to your choices, to your values, what's meaningful to you, and what's not within your values. So you veto the things that is not within your values, whether it's suggested by other people or your own brain, and you choose the ones that is within your values, in line with your values. And that's what how you live, with your vetoes and choices, not with the suggestion, images, and thoughts of the brain. So nobody has control other than certain malfunction of the brain to suggest some things, but it's a suggestion, it's not a control. You don't have to accept it, you don't have to comply with it. You stay on course, what your preference and lifestyle and your values and your choices are, not the suggestion of the brain. And that's how you guarantee that your life will be according to your choices, not other entities' choices, including your own brain. Because you're not the brain, brain is not you. Brain is an apparatus, and you should not be thinking that the brain can choose for you. No, you judge brain's thoughts, and you live your life based on your vetoes and choices. Power, vetoes and choices. So I did attend to Mr. High Class's question, didn't I? Yeah, yeah, I did. Okay. And Deep Diver says, Mehran, unfortunately, relating to Hans' question, I forgot what Hans' question was. And Axotol sent us a super chat, and he says there is a lot of info that I'll have to tell you before you can advise me. I'll book a time on Skype where we can talk about it. Okay, fair enough. You book an hour, I'll give you another hour. We'll have 2 hours, plenty of time. And often I go way beyond when it's needed. So we will hopefully be able to explore it together, one on one, Skype. Deep Diver says, well, I guess your mom's mission was accomplished after the tennis experience with yeah, probably. Ashley says, Mehran, were you ever interested in becoming a psychologist? You're very good. Well, you know that I'm not a psychologist. I don't have any medical credentials. My interest started just by current of the river of life. I just, through the experience of life, I was always interested. Um, Even from age 16, I was interested in relationships, and I would come up with different interpretations of relationship between older people, like people at my parents' age, whether they were my instructors or they would tell me something about their relationship with their wife, like certain discussions. And at my age, I still would come up with some things that would put a different spin and different um, meaning or interpretation to that, which would be a bit different than their own frame of thoughts. So we kind of enlighten them in a way. And then later on, through martial arts, I found I'm very interested in movement of mind and the relationship between the energy of the universe and ours. And I explored that heavily. And then in older age, years passed by and taught martial arts and learned things and experienced things in personal life and everything else. And then I stumbled on Mr. Krishnamurti's studies and teachings, which many of the today's gurus, so to speak, have studied and learned some of the things that he has taught, but they never mention his name. They make it look like they have come up with it themselves. That is their own brainchild. It's their own. It's sad to see all these successful people who have made millions and millions of dollars from teachings of other masters. They don't hardly mention their names, and they always try to say, "Oh, I only met them once," or "I didn't," or "I happened to stumble." But they want to get the credit for it rather than acknowledging. In my case, I don't know if you guys are interested or not. In my case, we were in Hawaii with my son and his girlfriend, and he wanted to break up with her. And so he talked to me. And so we were discussing the whole process. And he said, "Dad, the stuff that you say is actually very sensible as well." But he expect, of course, I make sense once in a while. So we laughed about it. So I started this this channel. I started sharing. I said to myself, if at this age, a young age, my son finds this interesting, therefore there must be lots of other people around the world at a certain age that they could use some guidance and help them out to get through their relationships or what they go through. So I started the video on the internet as a hobby, as something that I wanted to give back to help. I had this thing about me. I just wanted to constantly come up with ways to manage things. So one of the callers, or one of the people uh, who contacted me was from Germany, and he was married with an 8-year-old son, and he was devastated that his wife had left him, and he could not see his son as often, and he wasn't the same as before. And the whole family circle, the whole way that he imagined his life, and he was totally devastated. So I worked with him for a couple of months, and he was strong and good and got his footing back. And then I didn't hear from him for a couple of months. Then after a couple of months, I got an email from him, and he said that I just wanted to say hello and thank you for what you did for me, and I wanted to give you a gift. And this is many years ago. And the gift was a link. And although I was heavily involved in martial arts and meditation and understanding the relationship between mind and the body and trying to understand more and more about the connection between the universe and us and our psyche and how it moves, there were so many things missing, and I was thirsty for it but didn't know where it was. So I opened the link. Sure, it was. That's what I was looking for. It was a link for a lecture of Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti. And for me, it was like fish to water. Like I'm a fish and I just been thrown back into the water. Everything was perfectly understandable. Although his teaching is very difficult to understand. It took many, many times of watching interviews professors, lots of interviews and gatherings of famous psychologists around the world and quantum physics professors around the world gather around him and ask him questions and discussions. And I watched every single one of those over and over and over and over. There's over and over and over again. And then I would walk on my path this sea wall beyond 3 kilometers middle of the night. I would ponder, analyze the discussions, the lectures, the interviews of different entities of these discussions. So it took years, and through those years, I was using that information to help people understand their own psyche, what they're going through. And of course, I have to admit, there's certain things that have to do with my own way of delivering things and analyzing things using different tools, especially the message of Krishnamurti's knowledge and teachings. And in combination with my experiences and the martial art things and the meditations and how I understood certain things, I was able to bring so much to the group that I understood how people. And then, of course, I researched into neuroscience, different specialists, and watched lectures of psychologists and so on. And over the years, it became so much of combination information that I could then directly apply to the strength of people that make sense of the movement of the psyche. And so I wrote a few books. I was able to have this out and then the research on OCD and HOCD so on was added to it. So it seemed to be a natural thing for me and my passion to do this. It must be passion because, as you guys know, unfortunately, we reached only 23,000 subscribers in my videos, while their channels would make no sense. But with about 800,000 subscribers in 3 or 4 years, and some of them 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers in about 2 years. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's no need for what I'm doing here, or maybe there's something. But either way, that's how I got into it, and that's my passion. Certainly, it's not. But I do like to see more subscribers, reach more people, help more people. That's where you guys come into the picture to promote this channel, do something like that, to let people know this exists. Because some of my videos have 300,000, 400,000 views, or 60 or 100,000 views, but the number of subscribers is only 23. So I don't understand this. So that I hope that answers. It's a long answer to a short question. All right. What else? Yeah, right. Deep dive. Abdul Razak says, so you are telling me that if I get into a new relationship, I will think about my ex less because she's no longer my most recent. No. If you give enough time and energy to the new relationship, eventually, if you break up, then she would also be coming in first and foremost, and the other one would still be a meaningful past relationship is still coming to mind. But when you're in a relationship with a new woman and you are appreciating her, getting to know her, and focusing on the relationship between you and her now, yeah, the previous one, after a while, won't show up. And it would show up like maybe some kind of a delicacy of some kind when you are, let's say, having a bad day with your present girlfriend or something. You may start thinking about only the good part of the previous one. And you won't bring up the bad parts. You only bring because you need something good and you only bring something that is far away. You can't remember the fangs or any sting of it. You just remember all the good things. And that's what you need to kind of replenish yourself. And you wouldn't be remembering the good time that you have with your present girlfriend to deal with the bad day with her in the relationship, but you will find the previous girlfriend's memory, good experiences make you kind of feel good about yourself. And then mistakenly you start thinking, oh, that was so good. Because why? Because you're far away from it. You don't remember all the shit that was happening, and you're only selecting and focusing on the good stuff, which would make you feel good, and there's only positive reactions to it. And therefore, you start misjudging the fact that you should pay attention to the relationship that you have, not the relationship that doesn't really exist. And don't change the actuality with the virtuality, because virtuality really doesn't have any poison to it. It's the problem. Mr. High Class says, I'm not on drugs, but she wanted to quit, but she couldn't. She blamed the cheating on the drugs. Actually, lots of crazy things you could do on the drug, but that doesn't mean that, okay, I blame the cheating on the drugs, but what do you blame the drugs on? Yeah, it's like saying, oh, I killed someone, but I blame it on the robbery that we were involved. What are you talking about? You're blaming another crime based on the first crime. So, what about the first crime? Why should you be robbing the bank anyhow? Why should you be on drugs to use it as a stepping stone or as an excuse, a scapegoat for other shitty things that you do? Just don't do this, we want to do that. If you want to blame the cheating on this, then don't do this. You can't find yourself harmless. Oh, the cheating, it doesn't count because I was on drugs. Don't be on drugs. Both of them are your fault. You just have to, you can't get away from that crime just because you're busy with another crime. And their emotions are all over the place. But I think you were right. I was only fulfilling my desires. Mr. High Class says, I'm a fit dude who works out, eat healthy. Like I said, she had a lot of promises to quit and all that. But it was all lies at this. No, it wasn't just her fault. It was your fault for believing that somebody who's on drugs and keeps saying I'll quit and doesn't, and keeps saying I'll quit and doesn't, and keeps saying it, and you still believe it. You should have acted earlier and never take it back. Why would you be with someone who's on drugs? What good is going to come out? If anything, it's a bad experience, on you. You know? Okay. Uh, Absolutely says Corleone or some other guy said addictions are re- related to unprocessed emotions and memories. Yeah, maybe, but we can go further and say that because human being is conditioned to look for conclusions in everything rather than observing life and cannot find a conclusion for everything, through certain addictions, it assumes that there's a conclusion because in that state, pretty much it doesn't look for the conclusion, and not looking for conclusion is like freeing from the endless circle of trying to find a conclusion to a topic. But the key is not to look for conclusions in life. If you don't look for conclusion, don't think that everything has to have a conclusion, then you wouldn't have been bamboozled or be depressed for the reasons of not finding a conclusion or a label to something and wanting to have an answer for everything when there's no answer to be had, and then you will revert to weird behavior, addiction. The cycler says, I also lost a lot of weight. Think about her 24/7. I can't get her out of my mind with self-talk. I'm not sure you're focusing on her. Because if you're focusing on her, that means you're focused on her consciousness, on the contents of her consciousness, the way her consciousness has been conditioned. You're not focusing on that, on her persona. You're focusing on what you get from her. Sex, companionship, the affirmation. You identify yourself by her reaction towards you rather than identifying yourself independently by your accomplishments in life, your lifestyle. So that has a lot to do with why you keep thinking. You know? Just one moment, guys. I'm right with you. Selam amca. Kayıt, kayıt ben ver. قربونت برم خوبی مادر مشکلی نداره آره عزیز دلم م. شما م. Okay, sorry guys. When mom calls, priorities. Uh, Whatever I'm doing, I would like to attend and see what it is I can do. And I usually call my mom at 4 p.m. And I just noticed that it's way over that. And I was busy with you guys. And so she was worried about why I didn't call. And she had some questions. So I had to take that call. Um, yeah. So I don't know what I was saying. So yeah, I bet you I probably said what I wanted to say. Thank you, deep diver. I just saw your message. Okay, so we have a super chat from Luis Gonzalez. Says audio is bad. Oh, really? Okay. Is that better? So you guys didn't hear the stuff I said. How long has it been since you guys didn't hear me? Can someone tell me how the when did the audio was not audible? Sound was not audible, and how long, and if it's okay now. Yes means what? How long have you guys not been able to hear me? No, I just disconnected the expensive microphone and leaving it onto the actual systems in thingy microphones. And Val says it was a lot of noise for like 15, 20 minutes. Then why don't you guys say anything? Didn't I ask you guys, please tell me if the audio is not good, because sometimes it happens. Nobody said anything until now. Thank you for that. So I don't know what I said in the past 20 minutes, but was it understandable at all, or was it just garbled? Thank you, Val, and thank you, Deep Diver. Yes, mom has that effect. Oh, thank you, Mr. High Class. That's what I was looking for. Audio was bad, but we heard you. Okay, great. Thank you. I'm glad. And Val says we did say it in the chat. Did you? Oh, obviously, I can't be looking and talking at the same time. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, naturally. So that's why I probably didn't notice. Because when I'm talking, I'm in a different zone. I don't see what you guys do here. That's why I hope, soon I will have a feature on my site that would be a limited number of people for a Zoom meeting, which I can see you guys and we can hear each other's voice. And that would be a fee based, something to help the channel. So we could have, like, 2-3 hours for 10 people maximum. So there'll be like something like the ones who are already a member of the channel would cost them $25 for that whole 3 hours, and they can ask questions. But there are 10 of you, and the ones who are not member, like they don't have a monthly fee of, I don't know, $3 or $4, whatever it is, it'll be like $50. So anybody could join, whether they're member $25 or whether they're not $50. So that will help the channel, and at the same time make it cozier, like smaller number of people, so more time to each one of them. It'll be like a group session rather than one-on-one, which is much cheaper. One-on-one is like $100 US for 1 hour, but in this way, the ones who are not member pay $50 for 3 hours, so they get enough sharing the other experience of others and theirs, so it's got a value in that way. And the ones who are member, who are paying like, I don't know, $8, whatever it is a month, they get it for $25, which is then, that's pretty worthwhile for them as far as the numbers go. Louis says, it's all right, I make good money. All right, good. Very good. Delighted to hear that. So anyhow, I hope that feature would be able to be put to work once my programmer, who's actually lives in UK, and he's been busy with his new job, so I'm expecting it to start changing some things on my site in a major way in August. I hope that he would be able to meet that schedule. That would be great. Deep Diver says, Meran Luis gave a $2 super chat to tell you the audio was bad. Maybe if I ignore the actual messages, then you'd be forced to put some super chat in there. Maybe that's a new trick I should use. I don't see anything. I hear nothing. Oh, super chat. Oh, my ears are working right now. I'm learning all the tricks of the trade. So, okay, guys. Well, look, it seems. Listen, guys, it's 3 hours and 12 minutes and 59 seconds. I think it's time for me to let you guys all go. You've heard enough of me, and I would be able to actually do some other stuff as well. And yeah, so it's time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to talk to you again. I don't know if tonight I will have another one at 9 p.m. Vancouver time or not. Depends if I'm going to go for any exercise or something, or I'm in the mood for it or not. I hope I will. I may, but again, I don't know. If not, I look forward to talk to you again next week. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.